Originally released for the Nintendo DS in 2008, Grand Bazaar, now a Story of Seasons flagship title under Marvelous, comes back better than ever with voice cutscenes, better graphics, and a bunch of additions like more marriage candidates than its DS counterpart, faster gameplay, additional gameplay mechanics, quality of life additions, and more. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, revamped from the ground up, has been polished and poised to be the best possible remake for the franchise so far. What's up, girls and boys? What's up, internet? I am Bianca, and in today's video, I hope to provide some beginner-friendly tips and tricks to make your stay at Zephyr Town one to remember. So, let's get started. In the first few weeks of the game, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar puts you into a tutorial mode where you unlock one tool after the other, with the entire tutorial portion of the game culminating at around Spring 15. One of the first things, as with all Story of Seasons games, that they teach you is the use of the hoe and the watering can to farm, and this tutorial is spearheaded by the mayor himself, Felix. During this tutorial portion, you don't lose stamina from tending the farm. As such, it would be wise to take this moment to plant not just one of the seeds Felix gives you, but all of them. To do this, when Felix tells you to scatter the seeds, just keep on plowing the land. When he tells you to water the crops, plant all the seeds. When he tells you to fertilize a crop, water the remaining plants and then fertilize the crop. This will save you stamina and time. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, as I've mentioned before in this video, has a really fast in-game clock, with each minute equating to one real-world second. As such, you may find yourself trying to cram as much as you can in a single day, especially when you are trying to speak with every villager or get from one point to another to beat the in-game clock and get an event to play. And although there are shortcuts around Zephyr Town in the form of actual hidden pathways and these barrels that act like trampolines and eventually the glider you get later on, it doesn't really help when you are trying to beat the clock going back to your farm storage and then to the bazaar again just to refill your stocks, especially when you haven't bought any of the upgrades on the Sprite box. This is where this tip comes in. Did you know that you can actually move faster when you're jumping forward and running? This makes you traverse the town quicker, although you have to be careful not to accidentally fall into any bodies of water, as this will bring you back to the point where you last touched the land. So if you want to hurry along, simply keep your analog stick tilted to where you're going and keep pressing the jump button. If done correctly, you'll see your character speeding through the town. Unlike previous Rune Factory and Harvest Moon games where you are required to trigger an event by going to a specific place at a specific time to get some tools to help you with your farming life, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar does the complete opposite. They hand the tools one after the other as part of the 2-week-long tutorial for the game. Day 1 will give you the hoe and the watering can. Day 3 will give you the sickle. Day 4, the hatchet, which works as both your axe and your hammer. Day 5 will give you the brush, milker, and clippers, as well as a free chicken. Day 6 will open your first crafting station in the form of the red windmill, and Day 7 will give you your fishing rod. For the glider, you would have to wait until the 15th of spring or the second bazaar day. So yeah, every tool is tied to a story progression, so just play each day the way you would play a cozy game and don't stress. Now, one of the additions to this remake is the bug/critter catching and collection, where you can catch the critters you see crawling and flying or hanging around trees. Now, you might be thinking that since we got every tool via progressing through the game, that the same would be true for the net to catch these creatures. Well, if you are thinking that, then you are thinking wrong, as there is no net in this game and catching bugs is a bit more challenging this time around. I still say that loosely though, since it still depends from person to person. To catch bugs and other critters frittering around, you need to walk as slowly as you can towards them, and once you get close enough, press the B button to catch them. You can tell if you have the correct timing to do so if the catch prompt appears at the lower right of the screen along with the rest of the game's control prompts. For those flying, like the butterflies and fireflies, you would need to walk as slow as you can until you are near them, jump, and then press B. Again, you would need to time this right to successfully catch the critter. You can also sometimes tell if there's any critters around by listening to the sound they make. It takes a bit of a practice, especially with the flying ones, but I have confidence that even beginners and newbies to this franchise will catch on it quickly. No pun intended. So fishing is another staple of these kinds of cozy games, and Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar does it a little bit differently than the others. Instead of the button mashing or the hold and guide type of minigame, we get, as Simon says, kind of fishing minigame where you need to use the left analog stick to push to the direction of where the yellow arrows are pointing. Doing this will remove a fish icon, which serves as the fish stamina, and get you one step closer to catching the fish. You have to do this as quickly as the arrows appear, however, as there is a timer depicted by the bar beside the fish icons that you need to beat. If you make a wrong input, a chunk of time will be deducted from it, so you have to be really careful, especially when trying to hook bigger fish. Having said that, there will be instances where you will end up catching trash like fish bones, boots, bottles, and empty cans. Without diving into spoiler territory, I would like to advise you not to sell any of the trash items you fish out. Just keep them in your storage. You will find use for them a little bit later in the game, and you will be thankful that you have kept them. Did you know that the hoe has more than one use apart from prepping your land for farming? Throughout Zephyr Town, you will find these mounds of dirt. Using the hoe here will allow you to dig these mounds and reward you with various things from ores to metals and coins. While you can sell these metals, I would advise you to hold on to some, at least 50 for a quest further in the game. It is also worth noting that these mounds of dirt, like the foraging points, aka the flowers, the mushrooms, the ores, the items you can find spawning on the ground, refreshes at 5 PM in the game, so be sure to take some time to look for them again. Upgrading your tools is a staple in Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons games, heck even in Rune Factory games. But things are done differently here in Grand Bazaar. Instead of having ourselves a blacksmith to help us upgrade these tools, we have the windmills to automate it for us. Depending on the upgrade, it can take several in-game hours for them to finish. As such, you need to plan when you are upgrading your tools and in what order. The first tool upgrades only requires a bit of iron, some copper, and at times lumber, so you can really do this as early as even within the first week of your first spring. That being said, I would advise that you upgrade your hatchet first. The reason being, the ores and minerals in the game sells for a lot in the bazaar as compared to fish or even your crops, and these mining nodes where you get them from, like the other forageable items, respawns at 5 p.m., allowing you to mine for them again. Also, because you do need the ores you can get from these mining nodes to upgrade your tools even further. My personal order of upgrading the tools are the hatchet, watering can, sickle, and fishing pole. Note that even with upgrades, you won't really see them at work unless you use the super versions of their actions, like the super watering, which is done by jumping and pressing the tool button. The only exception to this is the hatchet, as its upgrade allows you to mine tougher mining nodes. Also, some upgrades are hidden behind a combination of wonderstones and windmills. The Nature Sprites, aka this game's version of the Harvest Sprites, make their return in this game, though their purpose is slightly more different, and if I do say so myself, more effective than their previous iterations. These sprites appear on the 13th of spring, but you won't be able to interact or use them until after the second bazaar. 2 days after you meet them, during the bazaar, they will introduce the Happy Stall, where you can buy stuff from them in exchange with your happy points, which you obtain by simply playing the game. They will also introduce to you the cheer meter, which boosts your sales and your income during the time you trigger it. A day after the bazaar and after getting your glider, you will find a story marker that points you to the southeastern part of Zephyr. Head there to see a short cutscene and glide your way up to the Nature Sprites house. Here, you will trigger another cutscene that will conclude with you finally being allowed to share stuff with these sprites. You can share specific items with specific sprites, like Ivy wants foraged items, Penny enjoys bugs and critters, Finley likes fish, Webby mushrooms, and Honey likes, honey and honeycombs. The more you give them these things, the higher their level becomes, which in turn is tied to the quality of these items you end up getting. Not only that, but these levels also increase the effectiveness of the sprites when it comes to your stall and the passives they provide. Personally, I make it a point to give them everything I end up foraging and catching in the first 3 days of the week, and then leave the rest leading up to Saturday for my bazaar. That way, I can get them leveled up faster. You should also pay attention to what specific items they currently want, the trends, as these will give higher points than normal. Though, when it comes to Ivy, you can just give her all the weeds, rock, and wood that you don't need, especially if they are lower in quality. It will make her level up faster. The titular bazaar in Story of Seasons, Grand Bazaar, occurs every Saturday, and it has 2 shifts. The morning shift that begins at 10 a.m. and the afternoon shift that begins in 3 p.m. The leeway for you to restock is a bit short between the a.m. and the p.m. shifts, but there are 2 ways you can keep yourself from going back and forth during the day of the bazaar between your stall and the farm. The first one is to purchase the Sprite box from the Nature Sprite stall, which would allow you to access your storage from your bazaar stall. It costs 5,000 happy points and is, in my opinion, points well spent. There is also an upgrade to them that turns your box into a one-way warp back to your farm's storage. The second one is to simply have all your stocks prepared the day before the bazaar starts. You can do this by heading to your stall and interacting with it, selecting the option to check your stock. This will give you 24 slots that you can fill up the day before and save you time from going back and forth, especially if your storage hasn't been upgraded yet. Do note that you don't actually have to stock up the day before. You can actually do this the entire week, as you can use the bazaar stall storage or stock as another storage for you to use, as it also functions basically the same way as the storage you have on your farm, and also the Sprite box. Speaking of storage space, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar has a very limited storage space, especially when you just started the game. Your bag, for instance, can only carry 16 different items while your storage houses 24. Different quality levels also eat up different slots, even if they are the same items, so your bag and your storage will run out quickly. As such, it is in your best interest to upgrade both. You can upgrade both of them during Saturday's bazaars. The bag and the storage can be upgraded by speaking with Wilbur and choosing the option to do so via the request work option. You can find Wilbur in the southeastern portion of the bazaar. Note that while upgrading the bag is instantaneous, upgrading the storage occurs the day after you purchase the upgrade from Wilbur. There are also tiers to the storage upgrade, and you need to rank up your bazaar to access some of them. Also note that there are two types of upgrades as well. One for space that you can get from Wilbur, and another for freshness that you can get from Garen. Every time you do something impressive or noteworthy in the game or reach a particular milestone, you end up getting mail with an attached gift inside. And while your first instinct might be to collect the gift, it is actually much better not to. Why? Because there will be gifts that you don't particularly need at the moment and will just eat up your inventory space. It is much better to let them sit there as an attachment and just claim them when you actually need them. Like you have emergency stamina replenishing food whenever you need, or ores that would be useful when you can actually be able to use them rather than just letting it sit within your limited inventory. The good thing is that these items don't expire or get removed no matter how many letters you end up getting from the mail. So just pick those letters up from the mailbox, but don't actually claim the rewards just yet. Just do so as you need them. So, still in the vein of storage and storage management, did you know that you can throw items you may not need or want for whatever reason away? Though there is no trash can you can dump these contents to, you can, however, open up your bag via the menu, selecting the item you wish to throw away, and press the Y button. This will bring up the item menu where you can choose Throw Away. Just remember, unlike previous games, throwing an item here means trashing it, so you won't see it on the floor near you if you do. They will just vanish. I guess this is useful if you ran out of space and want to exchange the item on the ground for something less useful in your pack. Do note that the items on the ground can stay there for 24 in-game hours, so you actually have plenty of time to come back to them. There are multiple ways to restore stamina in Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. The most obvious way, of course, is by eating food you've bought from the cafe or the bazaar, got rewarded to in the mail, or once you cook. You can also sleep in your bed to restore your stamina to full for the next day. The next is by obtaining a power berry. More on this on a separate video, as once consumed will not only increase your stamina, but replenish all of it. But there is a method you can use once per day that would replenish a bit of your stamina, and that is using the bathroom. It does take up 30 minutes of the in-game clock from your day, but a replenished stamina does go a long way. If you upgrade the bath when you've unlocked Garen, then the stamina replenish will be even greater. So this isn't the tip about the recycling shop that will become available later in the game. This tip is actually for the perishables that are close to getting spoiled. When you see that their freshness is about to go, you can try using these nearly spoiled items to craft or cook new ones. For example, a bottled walnut, priced at 241 a piece, that is about to spoil would find more use as an ingredient for walnut juice, which when sold sells for 260 Gs. Of course, there's still some use for spoiled items, and that is as material for creating fertilizers. But it is kind of a waste, literally and figuratively, to use them as such when you can profit from them upfront instead. You can tell if an item is about to go bad by the freshness status shown on the item's description whenever you open your bag or your storage. In Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, you are allowed to stay up for as late as 5 a.m. just in case you needed more time to do your farming chores or to forage or to hoard all the items that you can. But this comes with a cost. You see, sleeping up late in Grand Bazaar makes you wake up just as late. If you sleep at around 9 in the evening, for example, you will wake up bright and early at 6 a.m. But if you sleep at 10 p.m., you'll wake up at 7 in the morning and so forth. So if you want to have more time to prep during bazaar days, then my suggestion would be to sleep early the day before so that you can wake up just as early and not feel rushed in getting things ready on the day of the bazaar or on the days when there's a festival waiting for you. Bazaar days open up a wide array of shops that you won't be able to access on any other day of the week, especially when you've unlocked a plethora of them through helping the shopkeepers with various tasks. And while it may be tempting to go shopping the moment the bazaar opens, it would be better if you hold off on it. During bazaar days, your priority should be your stall first. And since there are 2 shifts, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, the perfect time for your own shopping would be the lull between them, which happens at 2 p.m. At this time, even when your own stall is closed, all the others are open, making this the perfect time to make your own purchases since you are just waiting for the afternoon shift to happen. You can also use this time to prep for your afternoon shift, of course, but if you followed my earlier tip and brought the Sprite box from the Nature Sprites, then you'd have all you need for the afternoon shift right there next to your stall. One of the things that makes this game different from all the other Story of Seasons titles and even the other Harvest Moon titles is that it makes emphasis on the wind, and it would do you well to remember that and pay attention to the wind. There are 2 ways you can tell how strong a wind blows. The first is through the weather report given in your house's radio, which will state how gusty the wind is going to be. The second is by the icon shown on the upper right of the game screen right below the map. When the wind is strong, as denoted by this icon, the windmills churn faster. This makes it possible for items to be crafted faster, making it the perfect time to get crafting. It also allows your glider to go farther, unlocking other places you would otherwise not be able to reach. There are moments when the wind is extremely strong, such as during a typhoon. And while this is a boon to crafting, it can destroy your crops. As such, you need to be prepared for this by erecting windscreens the day before such catastrophic weather to save your crops. It is therefore always a good idea to have some of these ready, especially during summer. Remember, the number needed differs between locations, so it would also be a great idea to survey everything to make sure you have the necessary number of windscreens to cover not just your farming plots, but your bee and mushroom farms as well. This makes the radio in your house invaluable, as you can plan what you need to do and what is best in terms of the activities to partake in. Like, rainy days are great for fishing. That's kind of established a long way back. Windy days are great for crafting and foraging. Be the leaf, follow where the wind blows. And like I've said, depending on its direction and strength, you can glide to places you normally wouldn't, like that island in the mountains that has ore, or to the Nature Sprites house up the cliffs, for instance. While the main draw of Story of Seasons titles, whatever that title might be, is that you live a cozy life, farming and earning millions of G's, befriending villagers, and ultimately having a family of your own, there is no rush in playing this game. No meta you need to go after, as there is no wrong way to play Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, which is really the beauty of cozy games. You play your own way and your own pace. Enjoy the scenery. Take the time to explore and get to know the land. Zephyr has a lot of secrets waiting for you to find, and most of all, have fun and enjoy the game. And that's all the tips I have for you right now. These are especially useful and helpful tips at the beginning of the game and are overall good things to remember going forward. I hope this proves useful to anyone just starting out on the game or are planning to get this incredible remake from this beloved franchise. Until the next video, you guys know the drill. Dream on, fly on. Bye bye for now, keep safe everyone, and thanks for watching.